Does Miss Tiffany have it? Okay.
Yes. And then at around 6:30, we'll have our guest speaker come in, and he also went through the cohort with me, and he has his own business, and he actually flies drones. I believe he was actually as well when he went with and so he'll be here, and he has actually published several books. One, of course, within our cohort project. So he'll talk about that process. Actually, I have some notes in what I shared with Sister Tiffany as well on how to set your book up if you decide to put it into a book or a journal on Amazon. There's some instructions on that as well.
Okay.
And then lastly, so today we'll kind of talk a little bit about copywriting and stuff, because I know that was kind of a question that came up. So we'll just share some of what's out there about that. And then lastly, we'll wrap up with presentations. Anyone who wants to present, you'll have a few minutes to do that. We'll just share your project. Then after we've gone through presentations, we'll have certificates. So you all will receive certificates. Then we'll take a picture. And yeah, so kudos to all of you.
We're missing, are we?
What'd you say?
Some of us missing.
Oh yes, for sure. But we gotta be respectful of folks' time. So we'll keep it moving, and hopefully folks will follow.
So I'm not there watching it.
All right. So, I wish I had this information out. So you all know what you to get something copyrighted.
Oh, I'm not connected.
I was thinking off.
And it went off.
The internet or the hotspot?
Let me see.
Before we jump into copyright, does anybody have any questions about any tools that we've shared, or any tools that you've been using, or just about any terminology? I know I talked to you already today. No.
I did. I tell you one thing. I have been so everywhere. You know, like at work. I mean, it's like it's there. You know what I mean? And it's really talking about it. It's really, you might know this. Google is really pushing. They're not saying with AI, but they're pushing it. They're saying, oh, you want to know this? Just Google it. You want to know this? Just Google it. You want to know how to fix it? Just Google it. Oh, I mean, I'm like, oh, so they're coming off. They're not saying they're not doing that way. But they're presenting it like that.
Yeah.
Because they would give it a camera, oh, never ask me what. You know what I'm saying? But it was like what we're doing here. Yeah, yeah.
I agree with you. I couldn't hardly find AI on my phone. You don't have a computer. It's hard for 13 years. I'll hold my computers down. So I noticed that Google allows me to get right into AI a lot quicker, or whatever it is, without kind of charging my account. I mean, the other one tries to say, we need to go into your account and use your Apple password. Not me, because I know I don't remember my Apple password really. And one time I didn't, and it took 15 days for them to turn my phone back on with your Apple password. You can't keep trying and guessing. And even if you change it, you have to know the old one.
Any other thoughts? Thank you. Any other thoughts? Questions? We are becoming more aware, right? Sometimes people are marketing to us when we don't know that we're being marketed to. But now I think we are more aware that it exists, right? That these tools exist, and even we can recognize sometimes if other people are using the tools,
Cause I got a voicemail. I felt good because of that.
And so, yeah, and just remembering that it's a tool though, right?
Yeah.
So, it's not gonna replace us.
Yeah.
It's a tool that could be used with our creativity and our perspective to be more efficient. One of the other things, and maybe even be creative, right? And maybe even spark some creativity that we've had before. It's like, oh, I used to be this, I used to be creative like this, or I just, again, I don't have time, this is all I know, this is what I have right now, help me with making this. All right, can we profit off of, can we profit off of AI generated materials?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, we can. And meaning that we can create something. We can create our book or our journal and pay him. And as with using AI, and as long as we modify it, we add our own spin to it, and we're not just taking it just what AI generated. We can upload it to a platforms like Amazon, and then Amazon actually has some guidelines on how that is done. Yes.
I'm trying to get onto the network. What's the network name and password? Because I wasn't able to do it the last time.
Okay. I'm not sure. I'll get you on Wi-Fi. It's an open.
It's right in DC Wi-Fi?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then you said there is.
It's letting me in. I don't know if it's from the last time.
What is it? So are you in now, Tetra, or you not?
Let me see.
Save my plans for burning up.
You gonna start with those trainings.
I can tell. Dried up.
You already know this stuff. You gonna put right there. The paper.
I got a small.
Make sure. Official.
Anything else myself, that's all he got is tomatoes, all the other things, it's kind of died.
Yeah.
I like the clean, so I can fly in there.
Alright, so copywriting. For those who don't know, copywriting will safeguard your original work or human authorship. It covers creative expression, but not underlying ideas or facts. So essentially, it extends for a lifetime plus 7 years of the author's lifetime. And it grants creators long-term rights. It is an automatic protection, and so it begins the moment the work is fixed and that is tangible. So these are some examples of what can be copyrighted. So we had books, articles, blog posts, different music. So whether it's lyrics that you write or that you create, software, and different artistic works like paintings, sculptures, and photographs. Remember, it's the human piece. So if you use AI to help you generate an outline, that's fine. But if you are adding to it, and again, once the certificate is back, then we'll have, okay, so this does this with this book. These are, again, some examples of what a copyright is. So we have the reproduction, the distribution, the display, and protection. So U.S. copyright law recognizes only humans, so again, just going back to that point, there are some limitations. So works that are created solely by AI cannot receive copyright protection. That kind of obvious or makes sense. And there's cases that have been presented, legal cases around this as well. So again, I just wanted to bring those to uplift that, because I know that we have thoughts around putting our works out there, and also about if we can profit off of what we create. So whether it's your project here or if you go on and do after the cohort, these are just some things to consider around it. Thoughts, questions? If not, any questions around copywriting or any other ethical piece? Just a show of hands of folks who are going to present today. That you're
That'll just be my voice.
Oh,
Okay.
I'll just,
Okay.
sorry.
Divine, I think.
Yes.
Happy also share. Is anyone else want to share for that? Okay. Cool. And so we'll do that after our guest presenting today, and then we'll also have some time to do some quick testimonials with our pediatrician. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and transition into our next speaker. So Mr. Morton, if you join me up here.
Sure.
Daryl, again, I share as a part of our cohort. And I'll ask him to share a bit more about his business and the work that he does beyond what I already said, just in case I miss something. I'm sure there's more. But Daryl,
Thank you.
welcome.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
All right, I'll tell you a little about me. Born in Indianapolis and lived in I lived around, but been around here many times. What I do, I used to work in aviation. My primary role was to get young folks involved in aviation. The industry is 90% white male, and so it was up to me. I took that personally. We got to get this. We got to change this. And so, introducing our kids to aviation, I found the struggle because they don't get it young enough to be able to make a decision once they're in high school. And so I was already a drone pilot. I got that during COVID. I didn't have anything to do, so I started flying drones and I got certified there. I found out that 80% of what's on the pilot test, the private pilot test, is on the drone test. And so I said, you know what, maybe I could start using drones in the 3rd and 4th grade to teach kids math and geography. And so I started a company called Drone Force Indiana, and I do just that. Right now is my heavy season. I started off in Pike Township at the end of the month, and we're doing 2 weeks summer camp there. I'm at Warren now, doing some things to Wednesday at Freetown Village. So I'm bouncing around, introducing these kids to drones and what they can do with drones. Ultimately, what I'm trying to do, starting as young as 3rd and 4th grade, by the time they get to high school, I want them to be able to get that same certification that I got as a drone pilot. And at that point, we can start making decisions as to getting into this aviation industry, because it is well paid. It's a secret that we don't know about. But after I left aviation, I started to go back to the, what am I going to do with drones? And I had this idea. Actually, I'm an author. I had written 3 books. I was giving a speech at a church, and I had this idea to add on to my series of books. The first book was called Report Card Days. Wrote that. That was a story about me when I was going to school, and I got a report card, and I told all my friends that my mother was going to kill me when I got home, and she did. But my friends came over and they looked through the window while that happened, and so I wrote that report card. I wrote that story, and as opposed to the kid getting handled by his mom, he's got his cell phone taken away. So I tried to update it to what kids can understand now. So that was the very first book I wrote, and I wrote that as a challenge. I wasn't a writer. I wrote that book maybe 10 years ago. And so folks were asking me for a follow-up. So I wrote another book called Bully on the Bench, where I just took the first story and transitioned to the second story. And then I wrote Freddie at the Plate, which I put out last June 1st. And so I was talking about Freddie at the Plate at this church. And when I went down, I sat down after I spoke, what popped into my mind is I had these middle school kids saying, when are you going to write a chapter book? And I started writing a book at the church that day. Started taking it, outlining it. And once I got the framework done, I actually was trying to figure out how can I accelerate the process? What can make me a better writer? What can make this happen more? And that's when I discovered this AI cohort, like Mr. Ekio back there. And so what I was able to do is take my writing and create a prompt that says you are a literary, writer with all kinds of accolades, world-class accolades. Evaluate this chapter. And it would go through, it would look at my chapters, okay, here are some suggestions. And so I was able to speed up the process by having and prompt an AI that was a professional prompt that really broke my book down for me. Long story short, this is a copy of my book that I produced. Put out this June 1st. And if you notice the cover, there are kids on there standing in front of an airplane. That picture is also AI generated as well. Okay? And so I'm able to take what I was doing in aviation and drones and put it into a book to teach kids the process. These 3 kids are all seniors. The cool part about it is, this kid right here, the boy, he's the main character in my very first book when he was in the 8th grade. And so I've just created the series. And so again, when you have these ideas in AI, you can really use it, as something to assist you. All right? Again, I never would have had anybody on that level to evaluate one of my readings, but I'm able to put in a prompt to get the same results, to actually help me and guide me, and just really make the story, flush the story out and make it a better story. And I must say, I'm my harshest critic. This is a good book. This is a real good book. And I'm like, wow, and I really put it together. And again, Joy was talking about the copyright. I actually taught myself how to copyright books, how to self-publish and all those things years ago when I used to spend time at the Marion County Library. The only credit card I had was a free library card at the time, so I went in there and learned. And so what she said about the copyright, I like that, because when it's your writing, your original writing, yes, you can't copyright. And I got like 4 or 5 books out there now. And if you intend on writing a story, I highly suggest that you do copyright it. That may be like $45 to get a copyright in your name. That's what you want. So now, I'll take questions from you. What questions do you have for me about this process?
I do.
Yes.
So my son, sorry about my voice. My son is an actual aviation graduate as well.
From where?
Indiana State.
I'm a Sycamore too.
Oh,
Am I
yeah,
ready?
okay, so he's also a pilot, but
Okay.
he's now doing photography.
What's his name?
Darius Wallace.
Okay.
So, my question though is, he's not flying planes anymore, but he's doing photography.
Okay.
And I'm a real estate agent, so he does my drone shots.
Does he have a license?
That's what I was gonna
You know
ask
he's
you.
illegal, right? What he's doing. No, I'm just kidding.
That's what I was gonna ask you.
Yes.
Somebody told us that he has to, in
Part
order for us to
107.
shoot anything like that in the air, you have to get,
Your Part 107 certification, yes.
what's the name of it?
It's called a Part 8, it's a FAA Part 107.
Part 107, okay.
Yes.
FAA.
Yes, I'll give you my information.
Thank you,
know,
sir.
We can work through that.
Okay,
Great question.
thank you.
What else we got? I like questions. I'll start pointing if you don't ask. Yes.
And I think I know a little bit about this, but I'm just going to ask the purpose of others in class.
Okay.
So for the class, you said grade 3 and 4.
I start as young as that. In fact, this past year, I had a 7-year-old
Okay.
in my class, and so we mixed it, 3rd through 5th grade. We watched them, I have them work together as teams, breaking down as teams of 2s and 3s. This summer, we did something very, very unique with drones. And I came up with this idea maybe a week before. I haven't even written that on paper yet. That's how crazy it is. Anybody know what eVTOLs are? Have you ever heard that term before? You will. It's called electric vehicle takeoff and landing. Those look like drones, but they are going to be people movers, like on the Jetsons back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Archer Aviation, Joby Aviation are already investing in this. These are already here. And so what we did, they're going to land and take off at places, what they call vertiports, like heliports, but vertiports around different cities, right? So what we did was we broke the kids up into teams, and they chose a city around the state of Indiana. And so what we did was develop a transportation network where every student had a vertiport in their city, but they had to do the research in the city, population, the current transportation, the museums, the colleges. I wanted them to come up to the front of the room and present to their classmates, talking about geography, college, population centers and everything else. And then we took the drones and they coded the drones to move from the different cities, and they had to convert miles to inches to be able to make all this happen. And so I told them to do all this, and then I backed away and let them figure it out. Because they asked me, well, how do we measure? And I just said, what do you got that you can measure something with? And all of a sudden I see them taking off their shoes, trying to measure, because we mapped out the state of Indiana on the floor. We just put the names of cities. They looked at maps, and then they started doing the measurement themselves. Yeah. And so that's what we want to do. We want to create thinkers. Nobody gets a drone controller. I want to see how you think to make the drone move with the codes you put in. Yes.
Are your programs only summer camps?
Great question. Right now, the past couple of years, yes, we started in Pike Township a couple of years ago to see if it worked. And that's where we were only in Pike. And so we've grown out to Warren, where we do it during the year, at Preston, and also a summer camp there. So we're looking to expand out. And also, that's the research I'm doing for my doctorate degree as well. And so everything's kind of happening right now. And so the game plan is to have this really spread out across, not only the city, but the state. Because I really think that we can actually go out and really affect how kids learn, because they're doing things that they love these drones. Yes. What else you got? I'll start pointing. Here we go.
Like when you're doing it, like what I did is I just did journaling. I guess I'm trying to figure out, like, does it, I haven't asked it, haven't prompted it to chapters or whatever, but I'm not clear how, like, so far I just put it in there.
I'll give you a tip. The first thing that you probably could do is put in a prompt to say, lay out the framework for the book. The framework, and then once you get the framework, and then you start working the chapters. Okay, then evaluate this chapter. It's only as good as the prompt you put in. And I'm sure Joy, you'll go into that a little bit. Maybe, I don't know. If not, then I'll give you. I can throw some stuff out there. But again, it's only as good as the prompt you put in. Okay, that is the heartbeat of making this happen. What else we got? Yes.
So I do have a son. I'm really interested. How do we look it up for him to get involved? We don't have any summer camps. since you're looking to do all year round?
Yes.
Because I'm just trying to keep him busy. you
Okay.
know?
I did stuff also at Douglas Community Center, Douglas Park. I'll go over I'll do drone camps, like on Saturdays. My website, well, I'll give you droneforceindiana.com.
What is it?
Droneforceindiana.com.
DRONE?
Yeah, droneforceindiana.com. So that should be our website. I think it's .com. Might be .org. One of the two. I think it's .com. Somebody check it out real quick.
I am.
Your email is on the handout as well.
It's .com. Thank you. Okay, so you guys got my email. Am I running out of time?
No, you're good.
Okay. All right. What else we got? I got answers. Yes.
You know, a lot of people read books about their children.
Yep.
Have you done anything about reading your children or do you have children?
I do have children. I'm glad you said that because that actually, I'll share something with you. These characters aren't just characters, all right? Because when I started writing my first book, I didn't know how to develop characters, okay? And where it turned the corner for me, I went back to my old neighborhood. Not the one over here, also grew up on 34th and College, 34th 21, as a matter of fact. And we played a lot of baseball in the alleys over there. And so in my first couple of books, all the characters are my friends because I can put words into their mouths because I've heard them speak. A lot of times if you write down a character name, if you don't know that character, it's hard to really do that. And so on one of my book I put out last year, it was this baseball team playing, and I had a couple of friends that had passed on. I made sure I kept their names alive on some of the rosters. And so in terms of writing and writing other things, then it's very easy to do because you know them. Once you know the characters, it's easy to write. And again, I didn't grow up a writer. I just kind of started doing it and just got good at it. Yes.
So now that you have a few books under your belt, and now that you also 4 books.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't get to that.
4 books
Yeah,
under your
that.
belt, and now that you've also taken the AI training, can you kind of walk us through what process you started to do that as far as plotting out characters,
Yeah.
maybe thinking through a framework, an outline for the book? Can you kind of walk us through how you would use AI now to maybe write your 5th book or your 6th book?
I'm glad you said that because that's what I was doing last night. I was working on another one. And this book is actually about not necessarily a character. It's about, does anybody know who Willa Brown is? Have you heard that name before? Willa Brown was the first black pilot in the country to get her commercial and her maintenance license, okay? I came across her because she also went to Indiana State Teachers College, when it was called that. And I was a board member down there, and I was not happy about the recognition that, African Americans were not getting. And so I said, what are we going to do? And then when I discovered her and her background and found out that not only was she a part of that Chicago aviation movement, I also found out she was born in Glasgow, Kentucky, but also grew up here in Terre Haute. And when I worked in aviation, we honored her. And one of her nieces, who's in her 70s, called me and wanted a poster that we had created. And she came to my office with her husband and picked it up. And she asked me about my background. And she asked me what my mother's name was. And my mother ended up, she went to school with her. So I'm like, wow, what I'm working on is meaningful. So to get back to your question, I'm writing her book. It's called Echoes of a Legacy. Okay, because we don't hear about her. And so what I had to start with, of course, is using AI to do some simple research and see what's out there on her. Okay, who's written what? Okay, again, I started with the framework. What does this framework look like? If I'm going to write a book, what does the beginning look like? The middle and the end. It's the same thing we wrote papers in school. It's the same process. Okay, we just work through it. And so then, okay, give me some possible chapter headings. All right, went through. I go through. Okay, I don't like those. I'm going to pick these. And so it really is an assistant to you if, in fact, you just take the time to put in the prompts. And again, when I first started doing this, my prompts were very, very weak. What's the recipe? Give me a recipe for this. simple stuff, you know what I mean? But when you get in there and you can add a prompt that is very detailed and very specific, that's what you're going to get back. Okay? And again, I highly suggest you just have to just play around with it. And, you know, once you really discover what your style is, it'll be second nature. So you'll be teaching this to somebody else, trust me. Yes. Yep. Will I? Or do I? Yes, I do. I didn't say that, but I'm glad you said that. We're actually working with a school, the girls' STEM school. Actually, I did a couple of drone presentations there. They actually, you know, I'll tell you the crazy background there. Girls STEM Institute, which is a different organization, started 10 years ago in my living room. Okay, that's my wife. Okay, and so she has partnered with that school, and of course, if I'm doing drones, she's taking drones in there as well. In fact, out of her program, she's got a pilot, a student that has gone through and that is a pilot right now. So we are looking to change the whole game. We're looking to develop folks, get into the aviation, aerospace, and the eVTOL industry. That's the game plan.
I think they're our power couple.
We're trying. We're trying. Yes. Great question. Pike Township, they pay us to come in, but also I also have grant dollars where I can do. I've gone in and done one-day camps. So I'll come and do a 3-hour camp where we'll just, you know, get kids used to what's going on, and then hopefully they can get their schools involved, and the schools can pick up the tab. Okay? We did the same thing last year at Douglas. We just did a one-day camp. In fact, we called it Drones Before Christmas. You know, just that thing. And just brought them in and just really had them work. We had contests where they won money, programming drones. And so we just really want to get them used to this and understanding that it's just, you don't have to pick up a controller. You can actually use your mind to do something. Because again, there are so many things that you can learn, you know, when you do it that way. Yes?
I was just wondering, to find out about your program, so basically they go to the website.
Yes, yes, definitely. My phone number's on there. I mean, you know, I done hear from bill collectors enough over a lifetime. Y'all can call me. I'm just kidding. Yeah, feel free. Y'all just, if you got any questions, call me. Shoot me an email. Yes, sir.
How long did it take you to make that book?
Good question. My first couple of books, my first book took me 10 years because I didn't know how to write. Okay? And then it got faster and faster and faster. October is when I sat down and started writing this. Actually, I finished a lot. I finished the first draft in December, but I'm glad I didn't put it out because it wasn't ready. Because it didn't get ready until I discovered the AI class when I went in and evaluated my chapters and found out where the weak points were. And so I'm like, wow, this is incredible. This story, I mean, this is a complete story. You know, about these kids who want to be pilots, but their school cannot afford an aviation program, so they fly drones. All right? And all three have problems at home. One young lady, her father is like, you know, she wants to be a fighter jet pilot in the Air Force. And her father was like, you a girl. You can't do that. All right? And so they're going back and forth. The young man has a problem in math. So he's failing math. And so, but he wants to be a pilot. And so the young lady on the end wants to go to Tuskegee, but her mom just lost her job. And so they have all these problems, but they unite and work together to finally end up, you know, their dreams coming true. And if their dreams come true, just look at the back cover. So that you see them flying over Chicago, and that's symbolic because Chicago is the epicenter for black aviation back in the 30s. If you really know, if you know about Tuskegee, understand there was a whole lot that happened before Tuskegee, and that's one of my next books that's coming to do that research about Tuskegee, because when I was in aviation, I was able to learn a lot, but also work with Tuskegee University, who recently relaunched their flight program January 6th. And that was the last thing I did before I left aviation, and I actually threw a little nugget out here, because one of those planes has got 0106 as the call number on it. And the front part of this, you can do anything on the court. There's a call number on this plane. My brother who passed away, that's his birthday, 1108. And so and then that's Willa Brown. WB Aviation is the name of this hangar. So I'm throwing shouts out along the way, but also information and history. And so we all have history in our families. Understand the books that you can write. You know, my grandmother kept all her recipes. I have them. One day, when I could figure out how to read all her handwriting, I'll make a cookbook. You know what I mean? Maybe just put that out, something like that. But we all have stuff that we can do. And it's really not hard to do. AI is your true assistant. It's all about the prompts and the process. I cannot underscore enough the framework. Lay out the framework. It's just like anything. If you're going to build a house, you got to have the framework. Put that in place. That will help you tremendously. Yes.
Are your books available for purchase on
Amazon. Right now, all 4 of them are on Amazon right now. Thank you. Yes.
You mentioned that you have grant dollars. Did you write any grants on AI and actually got it?
I need to. No, I didn't.
You didn't? Okay.
I went to the city.
People say
I didn't know how to do it. I had people, I just didn't know how. And so I
Okay.
had people tell me, do this. And so I did that. And so I've been getting grant dollars for the last 2 summers. Not a lot, but enough to be able to get kids interested.
Sure, okay.
Yeah.
I just wondered if AI does the grants and all that.
There's got
I'm
to
sure
be a
they
component
do.
where it can happen.
The grant,
Yes.
yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
With AI, you write your books basically, but, you know, as I was wanting to write a book a few years back, I would have had to have had a publisher. With AI, can we replace that publisher now and do it AI?
Great question. I self-publish.
Okay.
And I taught myself how to do that. You know, just going down to the library. You know, it's really self-publishing. Really, all you have to do is make sure you have one of these.
The IBN number.
ISBN.
ISBN,
And
that's what I need to find out.
and
It's on here too.
yeah,
Okay.
I bought like 10 of them a long time ago. I don't know why I bought 10, but I got a few more before I hit my 10 limit.
Speaking into existence.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also now that I'm here, I might have to get a literary agent because the more popular these books get, it's bigger than me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can see one of these being turned into a movie someday. So I looked up that process. Should I get a literary agent? I asked AI that. And they gave me all these scenarios. And I looked at some companies. I said, okay, that might be something I might have to do. So you have to figure out what's best for you and what the next process is. This also comes with a workbook. Okay, then I created a workbook with a guiding question the teacher can sit down and talk to kids through. So, you know, your book can have the same thing. You can create anything, and you know, it can be whatever niche that you have. You can create a story around that. It could be about money. It could be whatever it is that you like. Photography, real estate. There are so many different things to do out here, and AI is your true assistant if, in fact, it's all about the prompt. Okay? Anything else? Other questions? All right. Who can tell me where I went to college?
Indiana State.
Indiana State. Yeah. Sycamore. Woo! Look. That was nice. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Very
good.
so much.
So he told us, go get some more books.
How much are your books? How much are they?
$16.99.
Okay. That's great. That's great. Thank you.
And again, Daryl's contact information is on, as well as all of the guest speakers that we've had. Their contact information is listed on here, as well as the process for. Yes, it has some notes on here about Amazon pay. And of course, you can use AI to any of the other contacts to answer any questions that you have about that. Okay. All right. Let's take a break. Now's a good time if you need to wrap up your project, or if you have some questions around your project, or if you have not sent it to me for me to project, now's a good time to do that.
Oh, it's gonna go up on Wednesday? Okay.
Yes.
I still need help with the work.
All right, we're gonna break for 10 minutes. And we'll come back here, it's 46, we'll come back here. Yours.
And